Good morning, Beacon. I hope my words reach you as a fullness of a welcome, as in person, as if you were here. From this place, a light to your place.
It's really incredible, Jermaine, if not miraculous, to be here together after vaccines, to be readying for a new season of Beacon and the possibility of the light in this place soon touching more than just the two of us.
Yes, and today is big stuff. Dr. Tuli is in the tech room.
Yes. So we should say there is a special congregational meeting at 11:15 a.m. via Zoom regarding an expansion update.
And speaking of expansion, I think it's just about the perfect time to expand ourselves a bit and listen to Rosena Hill Jackson and Jason Jackson.
I am always grateful to begin my day, particularly our Sunday service, with their music calling us in to grounding and the expanse of love. Ain't nothing or nobody who can turn us around now, beloved. So come, let us worship. Let us consider what is of worth, what is of great worth on this blue spinning ball we call home. Light from the ages, first note, return of green and bird song, urging us toward day.
Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. Gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching down the freedom line. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. Gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching down the freedom land. Ain't gonna let injustice turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let injustice turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching down the freedom land. Ain't gonna let oppression turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let oppression turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching down the freedom land. Now I ain't gonna let no hatred turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. I ain't gonna let no hatred turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching down the freedom land. Oh, ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching down the freedom land. I said ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching down the freedom land. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching down the freedom land.
Ready to go?
Mhm.
Light of our spiritual ancestors shines this day. The great love, first love, this spark that began before we were, endures as starshine and light in the hills. It recalls our stories of strength and resilience, our boldness and ability to be still, to search for the light. This light gave us warmth and survival, questions and new growth. This light of our faith asks only before this bounty of questions and our flowing grace. How will we kindle the fire again? The match strikes. And we answer.
Hello, friends. You can see that we are here at Beacon and we have found MB, who has been self-isolating for 14 months.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. MB, how are you doing? Are you happy to be here with us? Oh, I guess so.
Well, we are so happy to see you. It's Wonderbox Day, everybody. Wonderbox often has all kinds of surprises in store for us. So I wonder, what's in the Wonderbox? Shanti! Shanti's in there. What are you doing inside our Wonderbox? Oh, Shanti, she says she's here to make friends with MB.
Ooh, MB. Oh, MB is very excited and perhaps even more excited because unlike in real life, today they are the same size. MB would still like to know though, has Shanti had a snack recently?
Yes, Shanti said she's had breakfast.
Oh, good. Oh, good. We're just kidding. We're sure Shanti wouldn't take a bite of MB. Any rate, so it looks like both of you have had pretty big experiences lately. MB self-isolating here for 14 months, Shanti being in hibernation. I wonder, what did you learn and was it really hard?
I learned that something might seem like it's very hard when you first prepare yourself for it, but then you start doing it and it's not so bad at all. Like I was really scared to hibernate, but then found that because you're staying still, that means I was staying still. There's not much to be frightened about. How about you, MB?
Well, I found that I didn't need so many things. That the few things I had were enough. I didn't need 25 blankets. The one I had was plenty. I didn't need so many food choices. I remember when I was little, and I bet this is true for many of you watching today, if I was given a cookie, I would ask for a second one even before I had tasted the first to see if I liked it.
Yep.
I should have tried it first and savored every bite before going for a second. I was so busy worrying about more that I forgot to enjoy what I had.
Oh, that's a great reminder, isn't it, Shanti? We forget that having mountains of things doesn't necessarily make us happy. We have to really remember that having enough is something to hang on to and to appreciate.
Well, thank you both, Shanti and MB, for reminding us of the spiritual practice of enoughness. And for those of you listening to our words, whether you are leaping toward transformation or perhaps still hibernating a little bit, or somewhere in between in a great change, a metamorphosis, know this. If you are hearing the sound of our voices, you are never alone on the journey.
Nope. Bye, everybody. Never alone. Always together. Never alone.
Good morning. Each Sunday at Beacon, we invite each other to light a candle of sorrow, joy, grief, and celebration. Maybe you're lighting a candle for the beauty of our natural world and your place in it. Maybe you're holding in light and love a broken place within you or within your circle of friends and family. Whatever the cause, you are welcome to light a candle in your home. We hope that you'll also lift up a name in the chat. Sharing the things on our hearts helps this community care for each other. As we begin the Kindling of Lights, we draw attention to the thousands who have died from COVID-19, from climate collapse and police brutality. We recognize the impact of this trauma and grief to their communities stretches across the world. So we hold a moment of silence to honor the lives lost and their surviving communities. Grounding ourselves in healing this month, we also light our candle of witness for the change makers who are changing the systems that oppress and heal our world. Today, we honor UU Faith Action New Jersey and their Criminal Justice Task Force, of which Beacon is a member. In fact, UU Faith Action is housed at Beacon, and one of our members, the indomitable Mia Morse, is the current board president. The Criminal Justice Task Force, led by Susan McDonald and Ann Hewell, are working to dismantle structural racism inherent to the American criminal justice system. The racial dimensions of mass incarceration is its most striking feature. No other country in the world imprisons so many of its racial or ethnic minorities. In fact, here in New Jersey, African Americans make up approximately 15% of the general population, yet make up 60% of those who are incarcerated. The Criminal Justice Task Force is working with partners to change that. Along with their partners, they advocate for laws and regulations that disrupt the systems that fuel incarceration, that create inhumane conditions within our correction facilities, and that make it so difficult for those leaving prison to re-enter society as free human beings able to make their way in the world. In this legislative year, they're focusing on 3 priority categories of bills: juvenile justice, re-entry services, and dismantling racism. We give thanks for these change makers, for Susan and Ann and their entire criminal justice team at UU Faith Action New Jersey, called to this work by our Unitarian Universalist principles, for fighting for restorative and transformative justice here in New Jersey. May this ritual of kindling light together offer us solidarity and shared meaning in our lives.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun, let us march on till victory is won. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died. Yet with a steady beat have not our weary feet come come to the place for which our fathers sighed. We have come over a way with the tears have been watered. We have come treading our path through the blood of the slaughtered, out from the gloomy past till now we stand at last where the white gleam of our bright star is cast. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, thou who hast by thy might led us into the light, keep us forever in the path we pray, lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we met thee, lest our hearts, drunk from the wine of the world, we forget thee, shadowed beneath thy hand, may we forever stand true to our God, true to our native land.
Grounded in gratitude for the container that Jermaine Cripe just created for us by holding us as we light candles of joy and sorrow. Grounded in gratitude for change makers like you, Youth Faith Action New Jersey. Grounded in gratitude for the voice of Rosena Hill Jackson and the music that she brings to our lives. Grounded in gratitude, let us prepare our minds, our bodies, our spirits for a time of meditation. I invite you to not allow this moment just to be a moment that you're watching on a screen, but to really engage, to put your feet on the ground, to breathe deeply in, to put your hands on your lap, or maybe in a moment of prayer. Breathing deeply in, allow that breath to fill you up, feel the coolness as it enters. And breathing out, giving thanks for the ways in which it has restored you, mind, body, and spirit, as you feel the warmth release. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. With each simple and awe-inspiring breath, let us travel back through our week. Let us travel back and consider all that has been our lives. There have been moments in our life in which we have said yes. How have you said yes to life this week? There have been moments where we have avoided life. How have you run away from what is before you? There are moments of passivity. How have you simply sat in the moment and watched life pass you by? And there are moments of fierce resistance. How have you resisted life this week? Whatever life has presented, beloved, Whatever seeds have been planted or soil tilled, whatever has gotten blown away, be aware of your breath. Breathing in, feeling the ways in which you are lifted up and restored. The ways in which your breath heals you and holds you. Breathing in, feeling the cool life force enter your body. Breathing out and giving thanks for the ways in which it heals. Breathing in one last time and breathing out. I invite you to open your eyes and listen to the voice of one of our youth, Kathleen.
Hi, my name is Kathleen Landis, and I have been a leader in Beacon's senior youth group for 2 years now. And something I didn't anticipate when I joined the senior youth group at Beacon was the community that I would find in it. I had been very involved in Beacon while growing up, but I had never anticipated just how involved or how much more connected to my faith I would feel after joining the senior youth group. It was in the senior youth group that I found some of my closest friends and was able to truly explore my connection with my faith and my favorite UU principles, whether that was through coming of age or our touched groups or just off-the-cuff discussions that occurred there. In senior youth group, I truly found a family and a place where I and anyone else could feel safe coming to one another for advice or just to have a good time with one another. And this is something that I know isn't just in the senior youth group. The truth is that we create a community called Beacon together, you and me, us. Our mission comes alive through our relationships, our voices, our leadership, and our gifts. Now we move into a time where we give generously to support making that mission come alive in our lives and in the world. In a minute, you'll see ways to contribute to Beacon. We invite you to lean into this practice of generosity. I know firsthand that it makes a difference. Thank you.
I thought meeting my birth mother would be my undoing, a kryptonite revealed. Not that I'm Superwoman, though my childhood nickname was Scorch. For those of you who know me, I work a lot. I never stop. As I approached sabbatical, I made my 18-point plan, including writing a book, reading about 14 books, and making several trips, including one to meet my birth mother. When she canceled the visit just a week prior to sabbatical beginning, I was devastated. Expect nothing, writes the poet Alice Walker. Discover the reason why so tiny human exists at all, so scared, unwise. Sabbatical clipped along at a surprising pace as New Jersey came into a full spring bloom. The news was booming with COVID-19 updates, and I wept as I read of the rates of infection and death among our siblings in India. It seemed strange and yet right to put my hands into earth and tend to our garden. I planted forget-me-nots on our hilly front bed in West Orange beneath a red maple as the rain drizzled down on me. We took trips, different configurations of our brood of 4: Salem, Massachusetts, Boston, Chinatown, Maryland, and Washington, D.C. We stood before Lincoln when one of the twins remarked, "This seems like a very important shrine." I journaled, wrote, read, repeat. And then a friend called me, a friend who lives in California who needed some help. I booked a surprise trip out to the same town where my birth mother lives. Sent her a quick note to say, "I'll be in town, but I don't expect to meet. I just wanted you to know." And then she called and said we could meet. Alice Walker concludes in that same poem, "But expect nothing. Live frugally on surprise." I was in California when Reverend Emilie asked if I could speak, an unusual sabbatical request from a colleague. It was morning there, afternoon here, and I was set to meet my birth mother later that day. I had my journal out, ready to collect my thoughts. And at the top of my journal, I had written a Quaker phrase that has been leading me on and guiding me in these days. Proceed as way opens. I listened to the emerging details as Reverend Emilie described this new property that had suddenly emerged. And then, when there was a pause in the conversation, I said, "It seems to try is the most faithful thing we can do." Just 5 hours later, I was pulling into the driveway in San Diego where my birth mother lives with her husband. I'd made a basket, a bone for their pup, a plant, and some New Jersey bagels, because New Jersey bagels. The scent of onion and garlic from the everything bagels hit my nose, and that's when I realized as I walked to the door that I had stopped breathing. I was holding my breath. I rang the bell and muttered, "Expect nothing, expect nothing." And there she was, smiling and barely breathing too. And across 37 years of not knowing, not being held, I shoved the basket into her husband's arms and we hugged. And I thought we both might just die standing there frozen forever when at last she said, let's go walk the beach. It seemed a perfectly appropriate response considering the chasm we had just leapt across. A closed adoption, 2 different coasts, and then meeting just weeks before a shutdown in a global pandemic. I feared meeting my birth mother would be my kryptonite, some undoing in the knowing. But I discovered instead the spark of my strength. And beloved, it was more than enough. And for the first time in my life, I knew I am enough. I have always been drawn to universalism a bit more than Unitarianism. Universalism, this message, this belief that we are already enough because of an all-encompassing love that in the end saves, heals, and holds all through a mystery that humans cannot comprehend. I loved this theology that we are already enough and that we do not need to be driven by fears of inadequacy or those of a hell, but rather we can be drawn in to live in accord with this love. I preached universalism, but I never believed it in my bones. And so, like Pascal's wager, I worked on and worried on and tried to control so much. You see, my story is many of our stories. Different plot lines, different characters, all scurrying to reason out why humans exist at all. And in our scurry, our fears or false competitions, in our neglect or our numbing, we miss this greater love winding its way, even in the most vicious and broken of days, through our very being. Nanuka, a nun working among the poorest in Uruguay, calls this our great challenge. Recalling her work and her life, Nanuka wrote, "To remember the history of a group, in my case, the Oblates, is to formulate not only the ideal that brought us together, but also to relive the difficulties of being faithful to the first love." When I left, my mother said to me, "It's like you've been here before." How can you love someone you've just met, I wondered. First love, this thread. We hugged and I got into the white economy rental car and watched the sun rise over California as I drove to the airport, loaded with a lunch she had packed and citrus from her garden. I return to you, Beacon, a different minister. I return more rested, surely, but also clearer about who we are to each other. Your boldness, courage, spiritual depth, and rootedness called me back. It was time to return. In the words of the poet David White, your great mistake is to act the drama as if you were alone, as if life were a progressive and cunning crime with no witness to the tiny, hidden transgressions. To feel abandoned is to deny the intimacy of your surroundings. I almost made the great mistake of my life, preaching and teaching universal love while believing in a confirmation of my abandonment. But now there is a strange intimacy in living. And so if you'll have me back, this new and changed me, I think there's more to love in our days ahead. An enoughness, if you will. Something less than abundance and surplus, and something so much more than scarcity. What does enoughness mean? What does it mean to be faithful to first love in a world where George Floyd could be murdered a year ago? Where bombs take the lives of children in Palestine, and where a virus with no conscience ravages the world, but where people with real conscience hoard vaccines while other siblings cannot find a hospital bed. What does enoughness in this world mean, where we might rightfully wonder if first love has abandoned us after all? Today is Pentecost for most Christians. The passage detailing this important day is easy to skip over what seems like an introduction for the fantastical events of wind and fire and speaking in tongues that follow. But I think the first line is the most important. The text begins simply. When the day of Pentecost came, they were all together in one place. Coming through Ramadan, the season of prayer, fasting, and giving for Muslims around the world, even as Palestine rocks with bombs and peace seems a distant dream. In this pandemic, each religious tradition has had to grapple with the idea of doing rituals, of being in their truths while being physically apart from one another. We have had to ask what it means to be community, and I think beneath this question was perhaps a more frightening one. If we were not physically together in one place, was there a there? Could Beacon adapt to all of the changes? Could we shift? Could we survive? The text tells us Pentecost, this great making of leaders and inspiration of spirit, can only happen when they are all together in one place. Now, it would be really easy to read this just on the surface. Oh, we just had to coordinate calendars and it not be a global pandemic and get everybody together again. But when you know the stories that precede that moment in time, you know the fears and disagreements, the fighting and the betrayal that has led the disciples, the teachers, the students to this moment, where they are indeed together in spirit, in one place of discernment, reception, commitment, enoughness. It is then we are told that first love is revealed. Our faith, beloved, is not bound to one place. It's not bound by whether we can be physically together. If we've learned nothing in this last 14 months, we have learned that. But our faith is bound by whether or not we can all come together. You see, there is a first love across these centuries, even across ruptures in our lives, ruptures in our communities. There is a first love. We find it in the courage to stop, to be still for a moment, to discover the there. The poet David White concludes his poem, "Everything is Waiting for You." All the birds and creatures of the world are unutterably themselves. Everything, everything, everything is waiting for you. First love, beloved, is waiting. And we are more than enough to find her. So let's journey on, all together in one place of spirit, of vision, of rooting in history, and of courage to believe in what might be.
For the beauty of the earth, for the splendor of the skies, for the love which from our birth over and around us lies, source of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the joy of ear and eye, for the heart and mind's delight, for the mystic harmony, linking sense to sound and sight, source of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the wonder of each hour, of the day and of the night, hill and vale and tree and flower, sun and moon and stars of light, source of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the joy of human care, sister, brother, parent, child, for the kinship we all share, for all gentle thoughts and mild, source of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise.
From the forget-me-not to the tiniest clover invading.
To your body in its place and the chair holding you, the cup ready for your choice.
The phone call that you did not expect, or the kindest of smiles seen in the way the eyes turn above the mask.
May they, whatever the day presents, be enough, a reflection of that inward truth.
That we are enough.
Hold this, beloved, in your bones. Seek first love within, before you, among you.
Expect nothing.
Love more.
Amen. Ashe, and blessed be.